Imagine just blinking your eyes to take a photo, or waking up to find an invisible assistant has already prepped your morning meetings. The AI future isn't a chat box anymore. It's becoming a continuous layer over reality itself.
Yeah, that chat window we all got used to. It's basically dead. The technology is completely dissolving into the background of everything we do.
Welcome to the deep dive. Google just dropped a tidal wave of announcements at I/O 2026. We've got a massive stack of updates to synthesize for you today.
Right, the central theme here is invisible workflow-level integration. We're tracking how AI is physically escaping the browser.
We're going to start with the underlying engine, Gemini Omni. Then we'll explore the total redesign of search.
And we'll get into world-building creative tools, plus Android XR glasses and the efficient new model powering it all.
Let's jump right into how this new AI brain actually processes our physical reality.
Well, the biggest paradigm shift with Gemini Omni is moving away from text-first thinking. It uses native multimodal processing.
Which means processing text, audio, images, and video all at the exact same time.
Exactly. It doesn't separate them anymore.
Wait, I'm stuck on something right out of the gate. If Omni is analyzing all that simultaneously, how is it not just melting the servers?
Because it's not translating between them anymore. Old AI video generation was like a really messy assembly line.
You'd write a text script.
Right. Then hand it to an audio model. Then another completely separate model tried guessing the visual layout. It was horribly inefficient.
You lose so much context passing data down the line like that.
Yeah, you do. Omni acts much more like a master architect. You give it one prompt, and it conceptualizes the entire house simultaneously. The script, the visual physics, the acoustics of the room.
It's all just one native thought. But the part that really caught my eye was its grasp of real-world physics. It actually understands that an apple falls down, not up.
Gravity is mathematically baked into its core logic, which completely changes how it generates visual media.
Yeah.
Think about the incredible demo they showed.
The prompt asking for a watercolor animation of a seed growing.
Yeah, and it had to be explained simply for a 10-year-old.
A year ago, that prompt would give you a glitchy, terrifying mess.
Right, and the tree branches would randomly morph into human fingers. But Omni creates a scientifically accurate fluid animation. The roots grow downward through the dirt correctly.
Wow.
The water absorption follows actual biological rules. And it dynamically adds a friendly, fully voiced explanation layered perfectly over the visuals.
So how exactly does baking in this world understanding prevent those weird hallucinatory videos we're so used to seeing?
It relies on a physical grounding model. Basically, the AI constantly checks its visual output against the actual laws of physics.
Like calculating mass and light.
Exactly. It calculates how mass, light, and gravity actually behave in 3D space. If it tries to draw a shadow pointing toward the sun, the physics engine flags it as impossible. It autocorrects a generated pixel before you ever see it.
So applying real physics keeps the AI from generating impossible dreamlike visual mistakes.
Beat.
Yeah, it firmly anchors the digital imagination to our physical reality. Now, if the AI understands our physical world that well, let's look at how it navigates the digital one. We have to talk about Google Search.
Oh, this is genuinely the biggest redesign of search in 25 years. The classic list of blue links is entirely gone.
It functions much more like an AI operating system now. It builds dynamic visual cards on the fly.
You aren't opening 10 separate tabs to compare things anymore. The interface physically adapts to your specific problem.
It uses these new AI search agents to handle complex multi-step logic.
It does. It totally shifts the workload.
Give me a practical example of that. What happens if I want to find a new hobby?
Let's say you're searching for local pottery classes. You don't just type the keyword anymore. You write a complex query.
Like asking it to compare prices and check weekend availability.
Exactly. Compare prices, check schedules, and explain the difference between their throwing techniques. The agent acts like an investigative researcher.
That's a lot of separate web searches.
But the AI pulls data from all those local sites instantly. It builds one custom comparison dashboard just for you.
It does all the heavy lifting. Which brings us to Gemini Spark and the Daily Brief. If search organizes the web, these organize your actual life.
They're absolute game changers for saving your daily mental bandwidth.
Gemini Spark safely reads your workspace apps. It connects your Gmail, Google Docs, and Calendar into one cohesive brain.
Imagine you have a high-stakes client meeting tomorrow. Spark quietly scans your inbox.
It finds the 3 background PDFs your boss forwarded last week.
Right. It reads them, writes a half-page summary, and attaches it directly to the calendar invite. You wake up fully prepped.
And then you have the daily brief. You open your phone in the morning, and it aggregates everything perfectly.
It highlights urgent emails from VIPs. It warns you about heavy rain during your commute.
It even flags overlapping appointments.
It strips away all the digital noise. You don't have to triage 5 different apps before you've even had your coffee.
I do have to push back a little here, though. If search just hands us the perfectly curated answer, do we lose the serendipity of discovering things ourselves? We used to stumble onto weird, fascinating websites by accident.
It's a really valid concern. You do lose that random website wandering.
Yeah.
But think about what you actually gain. You bypass the SEO-optimized fluff completely. You get immense focus.
The serendipity shifts to what you actively build.
Exactly. The serendipity shifts from what you passively find online to what you build with the 3 hours you just saved.
We trade endless scrolling for instant multi-step problem solving right in the search bar. Beat?
Mm-hmm. It treats your attention as your absolute most valuable asset.
We've seen what it finds for us, but the interface itself, how we actually talk to it, is getting completely out of the way. Google is calling this their neural expressive design.
It uses bright colors and fluid, glowing animations. It's designed to feel alive and highly responsive when it's thinking.
The Gemini desktop app is the perfect example of this. It's totally screen aware. It watches your open Chrome tabs and listens to you while you work. And I have a vulnerable admission to make here. I still wrestle with prompt drift myself.
Losing track of your original thought halfway through a voice command.
Exactly. I start asking the AI to format a document. Then I remember I need an email drafted, and I just stumble over my words completely. I end up rambling into the microphone.
Huh. Almost everyone does. We don't naturally speak in perfectly structured written paragraphs.
No, we really don't.
That's why the new desktop app is so clever. You can just speak your messy, chaotic thoughts out loud. The app listens patiently through your long pauses. It ignores your ums and ahs.
It extracts the actual intent from the rambling.
Yeah, it cleans up the audio and instantly outputs a sharp, professional text draft of what you actually meant to say.
It's like having a hyper-competent secretary translating your brain fog. We're seeing this frictionless design on mobile, too, with Gemini Live. It uses a dynamic island on your phone screen.
The voice mode opens seamlessly as a small overlay. It sits right on top of whatever web page you're currently reading.
You don't get kicked out to a separate chat screen. And you can interrupt the AI effortlessly.
Right. If it's summarizing an article and going too slow, you just say stop and ask a new question.
The animation creates this gentle, glowing wave effect when you speak. It naturally mirrors the cadence of a real human conversation. But I do have to ask about privacy here. What are the actual privacy implications of an AI constantly watching your active screen? That sounds a little dystopian.
It relies on a very strict, explicit boundary. The desktop app is not recording your entire operating system in the background.
Okay, so what does it see?
It only ever sees the data you explicitly highlight or the specific window you drag into its view.
It only analyzes the specific window you actively choose to share with it. Beat.
Right. You control the exact perimeter of its awareness.
We're going to take a quick break.
Stick around.
Mid-roll sponsor, read placeholder.
And we are back.
Welcome back to the deep dive. We just talked about how AI understands our intent and our screen. Because it has that context, we can now use it to build entirely new tools without knowing a single line of code.
The traditional technical barrier to entry has essentially vanished overnight. We're talking about anti-gravity 2.0.
This is their new AI coding environment. If you're a software engineer listening right now, hearing the phrase teams of AI agents building software probably makes your blood pressure spike.
It sounds like an automatic job replacement. But this isn't about replacing the architect, it's about replacing the bricklayer.
You don't stare at complicated lines of syntax anymore.
No, you act as the manager for a team of specialized AI agents. You give them natural language instructions and they construct the app.
Let's unpack the specific creative tools they rolled out, starting with Flow. This lets you build custom editing tools just by describing them.
Say you're editing a video and you repeatedly need to isolate the sky and boost the contrast. Instead of doing that manually every time, you type, "Make sky bright blue."
Flow instantly codes a custom button into your workspace that does exactly that.
It turns repetitive manual labor into a single click. Then there's Stitch, which is aimed at web design.
It integrates directly into your existing Figma files.
The most impressive part of Stitch is the native AI micro-edits. Usually, if an AI tries to redesign a web page, it breaks the entire layout. It hallucinates a new structure.
It messes up the CSS completely.
Exactly. But Stitch safely isolates specific visual elements. You can tell it to redesign just one specific button.
And it alters that local code without cascading errors through the rest of your page layout.
Yeah.
That is incredible. So if Stitch handles the underlying web page structure, what happens when the actual images on that page need to change? That brings us to Google Pics.
Pix is their clean, AI-first photo editor. It focuses heavily on object-level editing.
You can grab a coffee cup in a photo, drag it across the table, and the AI perfectly autofills the background where the cup used to be.
It even handles editable text while preserving the original shadows.
And for audio, they introduced flow music. You get granular control over specific instruments. You don't have to re-record an entire track if the bass is slightly off.
You just ask the AI to tweak the bass line genre. Plus, it hooks into Omni to generate perfectly synced music videos.
Let me ask the obvious developer question here. How does anti-gravity prevent bad, hallucinated code from cascading into a completely broken application?
It uses continuous automated testing. These AI agents don't just write code, they deploy it in safe sandboxes.
They detect their own runtime errors.
Yes, and they rewrite the logic until the software functions perfectly.
The AI agents constantly test and self-correct their own code without any human intervention. Beat.
Yeah, it builds the software and heals the software at the exact same time.
So far, we've talked about manipulating digital screens, but Google is moving aggressively to project the digital world directly into our physical 3D space.
This is where the announcements felt truly futuristic.
Let's dive into Project Genie. This is a model dedicated to generating interactive, fully playable 3D worlds. 2-sec silence. Whoa. Imagine generating explorable dynamic 3D environments from 20 years of Maps Street View data.
It is staggering to think about. You aren't just looking at flat photos anymore. You can simulate dynamic real-world environments.
You could literally walk down a digital recreation of a Parisian street from 2008.
It generates the geometry, the textures, the lighting, all of it.
Which ties perfectly into their hardware push. They're officially entering the display glasses market with Android XR.
The wearable tech community has been holding its breath for this. They split it into two distinct categories.
Right, first you have the audio glasses. These look exactly like regular fashion frames, complete normal sunglasses.
But they have directional speakers and a microphone to converse with the Gemini assistant.
Then you have the heavy hitters, the display glasses. These actually project augmented reality holograms directly into your field of vision.
The practical features are wild. It provides AR navigation where glowing directional arrows are painted directly onto the sidewalk in front of you.
And the camera integration is brilliant. You literally just blink your eyes twice to snap a photo of whatever you're looking at.
It entirely removes the phone from the equation.
But how do you actually interact with pop-up notifications if you can't use your hands to tap a screen?
They built a really elegant spatial interface. When a text comes in, the alert doesn't blindly block your physical view of the world. It floats gently in your peripheral vision.
You just speak a quick command like read it or dismiss, and it reacts.
Exactly.
Notifications gently appear in your vision, and you manage them entirely using your voice. Beat.
Right. The goal is to keep you present in the real world while staying connected.
When you have technology this immersive and intelligent, we have to talk about the real-world stakes. This isn't just about fun consumer gadgets anymore.
Not at all. It's actively solving massive professional and scientific bottlenecks right now.
Look at small business branding with a tool like Pomeli. You feed it a rough, half-baked business idea.
And it instantly builds out a cohesive brand identity, logo, and marketing copy.
Or look at the medical field, where Gemini is being deployed to read thousands of dense medical research papers simultaneously.
It cross-references millions of data points to identify potential new medical treatments.
It spots complex biochemical patterns that human researchers simply don't have the time or cognitive capacity to see.
The scale of pattern recognition is unparalleled. We're seeing the same thing with global weather forecasting.
The AI analyzes massive data sets of ocean currents and atmospheric pressure.
It predicts the path of major catastrophic storms days faster than traditional supercomputers.
It literally gives coastal cities more time to evacuate. That directly saves human lives.
But as the capability scales, so does the risk, especially with media generation.
We're dealing with AI that generates audio and video that looks and sounds completely indistinguishable from reality. Which brings us to the most critical security announcement, Synthoi.
This is Google's proposed solution to the deepfake crisis. It embeds an invisible cryptographic watermark directly into AI-generated media.
Break down how that actually works. If someone generates a fake image, can't they just crop it or slap a filter on it to strip the synthide watermark off?
No, because it's not a stamp sitting on top of the photo.
Yeah.
Think of it like mixing blue dye into a glass of water.
Once it's stirred in, you can pour half the water down the drain, which is like cropping the photo.
You can even freeze it, but the remaining water is still fundamentally blue.
The watermark is baked into the underlying data.
Right. It is mathematically distributed across the entire file. Even if you heavily compress or edit the image, specialized verification tools can still read the underlying signature. It's essential for verifying truth online.
The watermark is permanently woven into the image pixels, making it impossible to remove.
Yeah. It survives almost any modification you throw at it.
None of these massive features mean anything if they take 5 minutes to load, or if they cost a fortune to run. So how is Google making this computationally feasible for the average user?
Everything we've talked about relies on the specific engine underneath. They announced Gemini 3.5 Flash.
It's the core brain powering this entire ecosystem. But the focus here wasn't on making it a super genius. The focus was on extreme efficiency.
It is remarkably fast and incredibly cheap for Google's servers to run.
We spent the last 2 years obsessing over godlike AI models that can write symphonies or solve quantum physics.
But Google realized the actual trillion-dollar market isn't Mozart.
The market is a hyper-competent digital intern that never sleeps.
Exactly. Everyday tasks don't require massive superintelligence. You don't need a digital genius to summarize a Tuesday morning calendar invite.
You just need it done instantly, reliably, and cheaply.
And that efficiency is what allows Google to scale this globally. Their vision is providing a highly capable smart assistant to billions of people without charging an expensive monthly subscription just for basic access.
Accessibility is the real moat here. They're trying to make intelligence ubiquitous. So why prioritize a fast and cheap model over a slow genius-level model for daily use?
Well, speed and cost are the only things that let you integrate it into actual daily habits.
Speed and cost are what actually allow them to put AI into everyday workflows. Beat?
If it's not instant and invisible, normal people just won't use it.
So what does this all mean for us?
If we bring this all home, we're witnessing a fundamental paradigm shift. The era of logging into a standalone AI chatbot website is officially ending.
The real value of modern AI is that it's becoming an invisible foundational layer.
It's woven directly into the glasses on our face, the workspaces we type in, and the operating systems we use to navigate the web. It's just becoming part of the fabric of reality.
We want you to go out and test these boundaries today. Throw a highly complex multi-step problem at search. See if it can actually build a dashboard that changes how you work. But it leaves us with something deeper to chew on.
What's that?
If AI successfully removes all the friction from our daily tasks, from writing complex software code down to summarizing our morning emails, what do we actually do with all the quiet space it leaves behind? Does removing the friction of daily work also remove the spark of human struggle that gives it meaning? Think about that next time you blink to take a photo. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. Are UTRO Music?